A terrible tragedy happened that caused outrage and haunted the people here. In the idyllic suburban enclave of perfectly manicured lawns and white picket fences, the Carson family stood as the epitome of the American dream. Richard Carson, a respected accountant, and his wife Sophia, a cherished elementary school teacher, along with their 2 children, Anna and Tyler, seemed to live a life straight out of a fairy tale. But one crisp autumn morning, this illusion of perfection was shattered. Returning from a weekend fishing trip with friends, Richard stepped into an unnervingly silent home. The usual warmth and cheer were replaced by an ominous stillness. He called out for Sophia, but the only response was an eerie silence. With anxiety gnawing at his insides, Richard ascended the stairs to their bedroom. What he saw there would haunt him forever. Sophia lay motionless on the bed, her skin a ghastly pale, starkly contrasting with the dark, dried blood that stained the sheets. Panic surged through him as he rushed to her side, desperately trying to shake her awake. It was futile. Sophia was lifeless. Richard's frantic call to 911 brought the police and paramedics racing to the scene. They confirmed his worst fear. Sophia Carson was dead. The initial investigation saw officers meticulously combing through the house for clues. Richard, in a state of shock, could barely process the barrage of questions. Detective Sarah Macmillan, a seasoned investigator renowned for her keen instincts, took charge. She quickly determined there were no signs of forced entry, indicating that Sophia likely knew her attacker. As the investigation progressed, Richard's alibi was closely examined. His fishing buddies confirmed his story, placing him miles away at the time of Sophia's death. The community was in disbelief. The Carsons had always seemed the perfect couple, deeply in love and devoted to their family. However, as days went by, whispers of Richard's suspected infidelity began to emerge. Sophia's best friend, Laura, revealed that Sophia had confided in her about her fears of Richard's cheating. This revelation cast a shadow of suspicion over Richard, despite his solid alibi. The media quickly sensationalized the story, depicting a troubled marriage and hinting at a potential crime of passion. The pressure on the police to solve the case intensified, but with Richard's airtight alibi, they found themselves at an impasse. It was then that Sophia's sister, Megan, decided to take matters into her own hands. She hired a private investigator, Jake Thompson, to dig deeper into Sophia's suspicions and uncover the truth behind her sister's death. Richard and Sophia Carson's love story began in high school. They were the quintessential sweethearts, inseparable and deeply in love. After graduation, they went to college together, got married, and started a family. Their life seemed like a fairy tale, filled with love, success, and 2 beautiful children. Richard's career as an accountant flourished, and Sophia found her calling as a teacher. They were well liked in their community, active in local events, and always seen together at neighborhood gatherings. But beneath the surface, Sophia harbored growing suspicions about her husband's fidelity. It started with small things, late nights at the office, unexplained phone calls, and Richard's increasing emotional distance. Sophia confided in her best friend Laura, sharing her fears and doubts. Laura advised her to confront Richard, but Sophia was hesitant. She didn't want to believe that the man she loved could betray her. As months turned into years, Sophia's suspicions deepened. She found herself checking Richard's phone when he wasn't looking, scrutinizing his behavior for any signs of infidelity. Her anxiety grew, casting a shadow over her once happy marriage. She often asked Laura if she was overreacting, but Laura could see the toll it was taking on her friend. One evening, Sophia found a lipstick stain on Richard's collar. It was the final straw. She confronted him, demanding the truth. Richard denied any wrongdoing, insisting that it was a misunderstanding. He claimed he was loyal and devoted, but Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something. Their arguments became more frequent and intense. Sophia felt trapped in a web of doubt and mistrust, while Richard grew increasingly frustrated with her accusations. In her darkest moments, Sophia wondered if she was losing her mind. She contemplated hiring a private investigator, but feared what she might discover. Instead, she continued to confide in Laura, who remained her steadfast support. Laura, concerned for her friend's well-being, suggested they document everything. Sophia began keeping a journal, recording every suspicious incident, every fight, and every moment of doubt. She hoped that if the truth ever came out, she would have the evidence to confront Richard once and for all. Sophia's sister Megan was also aware of the tensions in the Carson household. She had always been close to Sophia and noticed the changes in her demeanour. Megan urged Sophia to take action, but Sophia remained paralysed by fear and uncertainty. As the months passed, Sophia's suspicions became an all-consuming obsession. She couldn't escape the nagging feeling that her husband was leading a double life. It was this unrelenting doubt that ultimately led Megan to hire Jake Thompson, determined to uncover the truth and bring justice for her sister. Detective Sarah Macmillan's team worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to Sophia Carson's death. They interviewed family, friends, and neighbours, trying to build a profile of Sophia's life and the possible motives for her murder. Richard's cooperation was noted, but his solid alibi kept him out of immediate suspicion. Megan, desperate for answers, turned to private investigator Jake Thompson. Jake was known for his tenacity and skill in uncovering hidden truths. With a career spanning over 2 decades, he had a reputation for solving the most challenging cases. When Megan approached him, he listened intently to her concerns about Richard's infidelity and Sophia's suspicions. Jake agreed to take the case, starting with a thorough review of Sophia's journal. The detailed entries painted a picture of a woman tormented by doubt and fear. Sophia's descriptions of Richard's behaviour and her growing anxiety provided Jake with valuable insights into the possible cracks in their seemingly perfect marriage. Jake's first step was to delve into Richard's background. He conducted surveillance, followed Richard to work, and monitored his interactions. Richard appeared to be a devoted father and professional, but Jake knew better than to take things at face value. Interviews with Sophia's friends and colleagues revealed a woman who was deeply loved and respected. They spoke of her kindness, dedication to her students, and the love she had for her family. But they also mentioned the changes they had seen in her over the past few years. Laura, Sophia's best friend, was a crucial source of information. She shared the details of Sophia's fears and the confrontations she had with Richard. Laura also mentioned a woman named Carla Mason, a former colleague of Richard's who had once been very close to him. Sophia had always been wary of Carla, suspecting her of having an affair with Richard. Jake's investigation led him to Carla Mason, a woman with a shadowy past. As he delved deeper, he unearthed a series of troubling details. Carla had a history of unstable relationships and a reputation for manipulation. Her departure from the company where she worked with Richard was shrouded in mystery, and Jake's instincts told him there was more to uncover. Piecing together the puzzle, Jake began to see a pattern emerge. Carla's presence in Richard's life, Sophia's escalating suspicions, and the violent end to Sophia's life were interconnected. Sensing he was onto something significant, Jake knew he needed concrete evidence to tie Carla to the crime. Intensifying his surveillance, Jake watched Carla's every move. He interviewed her acquaintances, building a profile of a woman driven by jealousy and obsession. It became evident that Carla harboured deep resentment towards Sophia, seeing her as the obstacle to her happiness with Richard. With the pieces falling into place, Jake prepared to confront Carla, determined to uncover the truth and bring justice for Sophia Carson. Jake Thompson was no stranger to the darker side of human nature. With years of experience as a private investigator, he had seen it all: infidelity, fraud, even murder. But the Carson case had a complexity that intrigued him. As he delved deeper, the tangled web of deceit and betrayal began to unravel. On the surface, Richard Carson appeared to be a model husband and father, but Jake's investigation revealed another side. Richard had indeed been unfaithful, and his affair with Carla Mason was more than a fleeting indiscretion. Carla Mason, a striking woman in her early 30s with a magnetic presence, had met Richard when they both worked at the same accounting firm. Their affair started innocently enough with shared lunches and late-night conversations, but it quickly escalated into a passionate and clandestine relationship. Jake's surveillance provided him with the evidence he needed. He captured photos of Richard and Carla meeting in secret, their intimate moments betraying the depth of their connection. But it wasn't just the affair that caught Jake's attention. It was Carla's behavior. She was possessive, obsessive, and driven by a clear desire to replace Sophia in Richard's life. Jake's investigation into Carla's past revealed a troubled history. She had grown up in a dysfunctional family, with an emotionally distant mother and a series of abusive relationships. These experiences left Carla with deep emotional scars and a desperate need for validation and love. When she met Richard, she saw him as her ticket to a better life, a chance to escape her past and find happiness. However, Carla's obsession with Richard took a dark turn when she realized he would never leave Sophia. Despite Richard's promises and assurances, he remained with his wife, fueling Carla's resentment further. She began to see Sophia as the obstacle standing between her and the life she desired. Her jealousy grew, and with it, a dangerous resolve. Jake's breakthrough came when he discovered a series of emails between Carla and Richard. In them, Carla expressed her frustration and anger, accusing Richard of leading her on and demanding that he leave Sophia. Richard's responses were apologetic but non-committal, indicating his reluctance to abandon his family. One email in particular stood out. It was sent a week before Sophia's death. Carla had written a long, emotional message, threatening to expose their affair if Richard didn't take action. She hinted at a plan to remove Sophia from the picture, a chilling foreshadowing of the tragedy that would soon unfold. Armed with this evidence, Jake intensified his efforts to link Carla directly to the crime. He interviewed her former colleagues and friends, uncovering a pattern of manipulative and unstable behavior. They described Carla as someone who would go to great lengths to get what she wanted, often using deceit and emotional manipulation to achieve her goal. One colleague, in particular, provided a crucial piece of information. He recalled a conversation with Carla where she had fantasized about a life with Richard, free from the constraints of his marriage. She had spoken with a chilling detachment about the possibility of Sophia disappearing, a comment that now took on a sinister significance. Jake knew he was close. He gathered all the evidence he had collected and prepared to confront Carla. He needed her to confess, to break under the weight of the truth. Carla Mason's affair with Richard Carson had started with innocent flirtation and grown into a full-blown obsession. She had fallen hard for Richard, seeing him as her escape from a life of loneliness and pain. But as their relationship deepened, so did her jealousy and desire to replace Sophia Carson. The affair began 3 years prior at an office holiday party. Richard, charming and attentive, had noticed Carla sitting alone and struck up a conversation. They found common ground in their love for their work and shared frustrations about their personal lives. Richard confided in Carla about his strained marriage, while Carla shared her dreams of finding true love. Their connection was instant and electric. Soon they were meeting for lunches, then dinners, and finally secret rendezvous at hotels. Richard was careful to keep their affair hidden, but Carla's feelings for him grew stronger with each passing day. She fantasized about a future where they could be together openly, free from the constraints of his marriage. Carla's fantasies, however, were marred by the reality of Sophia's existence. Every time Richard went home to his wife, Carla's resentment festered. She started to view Sophia as the obstacle to her happiness, the barrier standing between her and the life she wanted with Richard. Carla's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would call Richard at all hours, demanding to know where he was and who he was with. She became possessive, monitoring his social media and showing up unannounced at his office. Richard, initially flattered by her attention, began to feel trapped by her neediness. The breaking point came when Carla discovered that Richard had lied to her about spending a weekend with Sophia. Enraged, she confronted him, demanding that he choose between her and his wife. Richard, caught off guard by her intensity, tried to calm her down. He promised he would leave Sophia, but deep down he knew he couldn't follow through. As Carla's obsession grew, so did her hatred for Sophia. She started to stalk her, learning her routines and habits. Carla would drive by the Carson house late at night, watching from the shadows as Sophia went about her life. Her anger boiled over as she saw the life she wanted being lived by another woman. Carla's plan to remove Sophia took shape over several months. She began to fantasize about ways to eliminate her rival, her thoughts growing darker and more dangerous. The email she sent to Richard threatening to expose their affair was a desperate attempt to force his hand. But when he failed to act, Carla decided to take matters into her own hands. On the night of the murder, Carla waited patiently, knowing Richard was away on his fishing trip. Her meticulous planning covered every detail, from disabling the security cameras to ensuring she left no trace of her presence. She broke into the Carson house using a spare key Richard had given her, moving silently through the darkened rooms, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. Sophia was asleep when Carla entered the bedroom. The sight of her rival, peaceful and unaware, fueled Carla's rage. Years of pent-up anger and resentment bubbled to the surface as she approached the bed, a knife clutched tightly in her hand. Sophia stirred, waking up just as Carla lunged, but it was too late. The attack was swift and brutal, the room filling with the sickening sounds of violence. Sophia's life ended in a flurry of desperate movements and pained cries, her body finally falling still as Carla stood over her, panting and wild-eyed. In the aftermath, Carla felt a mixture of triumph and horror wash over her. She had done it. She had removed the obstacle to her happiness. But as the adrenaline faded, the stark reality of her actions set in. She quickly wiped down the surfaces she had touched, methodically erasing any evidence of her presence. Her hands shook as she cleaned the knife and disposed of it, making sure to leave no trace behind. Then, slipping out of the house as silently as she had entered, she disappeared into the night, confident she had committed the perfect crime. However, Carla underestimated Jake Thompson's tenacity. His investigation unraveled her carefully constructed alibi. His surveillance and interviews revealed the depth of her obsession and the lengths she had gone to in order to be with Richard. Jake's meticulous gathering of evidence painted a chilling picture of a woman consumed by jealousy and willing to kill to get what she wanted. Jake pieced together Carla's background, uncovering her history of unstable relationships and manipulative behavior. He found witnesses who spoke of her volatile nature and her deep resentment towards Sophia. Through relentless surveillance, Jake captured Carla's erratic behavior and obsessive tendencies, further corroborating his suspicions. He uncovered emails and messages between Carla and Richard, filled with her desperate pleas and veiled threats. Each piece of evidence added weight to the growing mountain against her. As Jake prepared to confront Carla, he knew her fragile psyche would be her undoing. The weight of her guilt, combined with the overwhelming evidence, would be too much for her to bear. Jake anticipated her breaking point, understanding that it was only a matter of time before she crumbled under the pressure. In the end, Carla's facade of control shattered. Confronted with the incontrovertible evidence, she broke down, confessing to her heinous crime. Her confession was a mix of anger, regret, and despair, her voice trembling as she recounted the details of that fateful night. The perfect crime she had envisioned had unraveled, leaving her exposed and defeated. Jake's relentless pursuit of justice had brought the truth to light, ensuring that Sophia Carson's death would not go unpunished. Jake Thompson meticulously gathered the evidence needed to build an airtight case against Carla Mason. He knew that to secure a conviction, every detail had to be scrutinized and every lead followed. His investigation had revealed Carla's obsessive behavior, her deep-seated resentment towards Sophia, and the lengths she went to in order to be with Richard. Now it was time to piece it all together. Jake's first task was to consolidate the surveillance footage and photographs he had taken of Carla and Richard. The images clearly showed their intimate relationship, disproving any claims that Carla might make about their affair being over. These visual proofs were crucial in establishing Carla's motive. Next, Jake focused on the emails between Carla and Richard. The threatening messages she had sent, demanding that Richard leave Sophia or face the consequences, were damning evidence of her intent. Jake printed out the emails, highlighting the passages where Carla hinted at drastic measures if she didn't get her way. Jake also gathered testimonies from Carla's former colleagues and acquaintances. One witness, a close friend of Carla's, reluctantly shared a conversation they had just days before Sophia's murder. Carla had expressed a disturbing desire for Sophia to disappear, even making offhand remarks about how easy it would be to make it happen. This testimony painted a clear picture of Carla's premeditation. The most crucial piece of evidence, however, came from the crime scene itself. Jake had worked closely with Detective Sarah Macmillan, sharing his findings and collaborating on the investigation. Forensic analysis revealed traces of Carla's DNA on the knife used to kill Sophia, as well as on the bedroom door handle. Despite her efforts to clean up, Carla had made critical mistakes that tied her directly to the murder. Jake and Sarah also discovered a partial fingerprint on the windowsill where Carla had entered the house. While it wasn't a complete match, it added to the mounting evidence against her. Jake knew that these physical proofs, combined with the digital and testimonial evidence, created a compelling case. With everything in place, Jake turned his attention to Carla's acquaintances. He interviewed neighbors, friends, and even casual acquaintances, piecing together a profile of a woman driven by desperation and jealousy. One neighbor recalled seeing Carla's car parked near the Carson house on several occasions, further corroborating her stalking behavior. The final piece of the puzzle came from a surprising source. Richard, racked with guilt and realizing the extent of Carla's obsession, agreed to cooperate fully with the investigation. He provided additional emails and messages from Carla, as well as his own account of their relationship. Richard's testimony was crucial in establishing the timeline and confirming Carla's motives. Jake presented his findings to Detective Macmillan, who was impressed by the thoroughness of the investigation. Together, they compiled a detailed report outlining Carla's motives, actions, and the overwhelming evidence against her. The case was ready to go to trial. Carla was arrested at her apartment, her shocked expression revealing her belief that she had gotten away with murder. As the police led her away in handcuffs, Jake felt a sense of satisfaction. He had uncovered the truth and ensured that justice would be served for Sophia Carson. The legal proceedings were swift. Carla's defense tried to argue that she had been framed, but the evidence was irrefutable. The emails, the forensic evidence, and the testimonies painted a clear picture of a woman consumed by jealousy and willing to kill to achieve her desires. In the end, Carla was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Richard's involvement, though not criminal, left a stain on his reputation and devastated his family. The Carson children, Anna and Tyler, faced a future without their mother, and with a father whose actions had indirectly led to her death. In the quiet aftermath of the trial, those left behind struggled to find a sense of normalcy. The Carson family's once bright future was now overshadowed by loss and betrayal. Sophia's absence was a constant presence in their lives, a void that could never be filled. Megan, Sophia's sister, took on the role of guardian for Anna and Tyler. She moved into the Carson home, providing stability and support for the children. Megan's bond with her niece and nephew deepened as they navigated their shared grief. Together, they honored Sophia's memory, finding comfort in the love she had given them. Laura, Sophia's best friend, also played a crucial role in helping the family heal. She organized memorial events, celebrating Sophia's life and the impact she had on those around her. The community rallied together, offering support and love to the Carson children, ensuring they knew they were not alone. Richard, burdened by guilt and remorse, sought therapy to confront his actions and the consequences they had wrought. He knew he could never undo the pain he had caused, but he hoped to find a path to redemption. Richard's journey was one of self-reflection and accountability, a long and difficult process of coming to terms with his past. As the years passed, Anna and Tyler grew up carrying with them the lessons of their mother's life and the strength of their aunt Megan's love. They pursued their dreams, determined to honor Sophia's memory through their actions and achievements. The scars of their past remained, but they found ways to move forward, holding on to the positive memories of their family. The Carson case, with all its twists and tragedies, became a beacon of resilience for the community. It reminded them of the fragility of life and the strength that could be found in unity and support. The murder case of Sophia Carson by Carla Mason left many valuable lessons for everyone. Vigilance and trust. Sophia suspected her husband of being unfaithful and shared it with friends, but was indecisive in taking action. This is a lesson in the importance of listening to your own feelings and intuition, and seeking timely help when in doubt. Records and evidence. Sophia kept a detailed diary of suspicious events in her marriage that provided important information to investigators. This highlights the importance of documenting suspicious events and behavior, which can help in future legal situations. Support from relatives. Sophia's older sister Megan's determination to hire a private investigator helped uncover the truth and bring Carla to justice. This is a reminder of the important role family and friends play in supporting and protecting each other. Consequences of obsession. Carla's behavior shows the dangerous levels of obsession and jealousy. A lack of emotional control can lead to terrible and irreversible actions. The importance of justice. Carla's arrest and successful trial proves that justice will eventually be served, no matter how difficult. This encourages trust in the legal system and fairness in society. Follow our channel to discover dramatic and mysterious true cases. Join us to investigate, analyze, and find out the truth behind each story. Register now to not miss the most interesting content. Thanks for watching.